Welcome to my YouTube channel. The trial begins. Scene 6. Police station, morning. Emily sat in a cold, stark-holding cell, her head hanging low. The weight of guilt and uncertainty pressed heavily upon her. She heard footsteps approach. The door creaked open, and Detective Sarah Williams, 35, a compassionate but firm investigator, stepped in. Detective Williams, Emily Carter, you have a right to remain silent, but anything you say may help your case. Emily looked up, her eyes red from crying. Emily, softly, I didn't want this. I just wanted to save my mother. Detective Williams sighed, taking a seat beside her. Detective Williams, tell me everything, Emily. Why did you get involved? Emily's voice trembled as she spoke. Emily, we were drowning in debt. Mom's medicine was too expensive. I was desperate. I didn't know it was illegal. Courtroom. First hearing. The courthouse buzzed with murmurs. Emily stood in the defendant's dock, facing the judge, Judge Robert Miller, 60s, with solemn authority. Her lawyer, Michael Bennett, 40s, adjusted his glasses, ready to defend her. Prosecutor Linda Hayes, 45, stern and relentless, presented the evidence. Prosecutor Hayes, the defendant was found in possession of controlled substances, and she participated in their sale knowingly. Michael Bennett stood and addressed the court. Michael Bennett, Your Honor, my client acted out of desperation. She is not a criminal mastermind but a young woman trapped by poverty. Judge Miller listened intently before setting the next hearing date. Judge Miller, we will reconvene in 2 weeks for further testimony. Emily exhaled deeply, overwhelmed by fear. Part 3. The Media Storm. Scene 8. News broadcast, evening. On national television, the headline blared. Young woman arrested in Brooksville drug scandal. A case of desperation or crime. Reporters speculated about Emily's motives, painting her either as a villain or a tragic figure. Reporter, Emily Carter's case has stirred public debate. Is this a reflection of systemic failure or a personal moral collapse? The news spread fast, and soon, the local community's whispers turned into harsh judgment. Emily's family at home. Margaret Carter sat alone, clutching a framed photo of Emily as a child. Tears streamed down her face. Margaret, whispering, My poor girl. I never meant for this to happen. Neighbors began to avoid the Carter home, and the once warm environment turned cold and isolating. Part 4. The Past Revealed. Scene 10. Flashback, Emily's childhood. Emily grew up in a modest home, always helping her mother after school. Margaret worked multiple jobs to support Emily and her younger brother, Daniel Carter, 16. Young Emily was bright, full of dreams, and determined to escape poverty. One day, Margaret fell gravely ill. The medical bills piled up, and they couldn't afford the expensive treatment. Emily's life changed forever. Scene 11. Confrontation with Robert Brooks. Emily met Robert Brooks earlier in the year when he approached her at the tea stall. Robert Brooks, I know you are struggling. I can help. Emily's eyes filled with mistrust. Emily, what do you want in return? Robert Brooks, just some small favors. Nothing too risky. Brown sugar deliveries, discreet. Desperate and naive, Emily agreed, unaware of the growing danger. The second hearing, tensions rise. 2 weeks later, the courtroom was filled with anticipation. Journalists crowded the back, their cameras flashing intermittently. Emily Carter stood at the defendant's dock, her face pale but resolute. Her lawyer, Michael Bennett, looked confident, while prosecutor Linda Hayes remained stern and unwavering. Judge Robert Miller, let's proceed. We will hear testimonies starting with the prosecution. The first witness was Robert Brooks, the buyer. Prosecutor Hayes, Mr. Brooks, can you confirm your relationship with Emily Carter? Robert Brooks shifted uncomfortably in the witness stand. Robert Brooks, I met Emily earlier this year. She delivered brown sugar for me. I knew she was struggling. Prosecutor Hayes, did you ever coerce or threaten her? Robert Brooks, hesitant. No, it was a mutual agreement. Prosecutor Hayes's expression hardened. Prosecutor Hayes, so you admit to using Emily's desperation for your own gain? Robert Brooks said nothing, his silence speaking volumes. Scene 13. Testimony of Margaret Carter. Margaret Carter stepped into the witness stand, her hands trembling. Michael Bennett, Mrs. Carter, please describe your financial situation. Margaret's voice was soft, almost breaking. Margaret Carter, we live hand to mouth. My daughter worked tirelessly, but my medical bills kept rising. I never imagined she would be caught up in something like this. Her eyes welled up as she glanced at Emily. Margaret Carter, Emily was only trying to help. She never wanted harm. The courtroom murmured. Some spectators showed pity, others, disbelief. The defense's argument. Scene 14. Michael Bennett's closing statement. Michael Bennett stood, addressing the judge and jury with conviction. Michael Bennett, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a case of criminal intent. It is a story of survival. Emily Carter, a young woman from Brooksville, found herself cornered by the cruel reality of poverty and a failing system. Her actions were not driven by greed but by love for her family. She deserves our empathy, not condemnation. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. Michael Bennett, let us not forget that our laws are meant to protect the innocent, not to punish the desperate. Scene 15. Prosecutor Hayes's rebuttal. Prosecutor Hayes stood, her tone unyielding. Prosecutor Hayes, the law does not discriminate based on intent. Possession and distribution of controlled substances is illegal, regardless of circumstance. If we let this case slide, we risk encouraging others to take the law into their own hands. Her words hung heavily in the air. Part 7. Emily's reflection. Scene 16. Prison cell, night. Emily sat on the cold floor of her cell, staring at the wall. Her thoughts spiraled. I never wanted this. I just wanted to save Mom. Tears streamed down her face as memories of her mother's suffering, her brother's hopeful smiles, and the dark alley where she first met Robert Brooks flooded back. Her phone buzzed faintly, a message from Daniel. Daniel Carter, text message, stay strong, Emily. We love you. Her resolve strengthened. She wiped her tears and whispered, Emily, I'll fight this, for us. Part 8. The verdict approaches. Scene 17. Final day of trial. The final day of the trial arrived. The courtroom was tense, every seat filled. The judge reviewed all testimonies and evidence before turning to the jury. Judge Robert Miller, members of the jury, you must now deliberate and reach a verdict based solely on the facts presented. The jury left to deliberate, leaving Emily, her lawyer, the prosecutor, and the spectators in anxious silence. Hours passed. Scene 18. The verdict. Finally, the jury returned. Foreman of the jury, Your Honor, we find the defendant, Emily Carter, guilty of possession and distribution of controlled substances, but we recommend leniency due to mitigating circumstances. Emily's heart sank, but a small part of her clung to hope. Judge Miller nodded solemnly. Judge Robert Miller, considering the jury's recommendation, I sentence Emily Carter to 2 years in a rehabilitation and community service program rather than prison. Emily exhaled a deep breath, a mix of relief and sorrow.